I love teaching pushing chi to new students. And the mechanics of that movement are so very simple that, even a brand new person can catch on to that movement very quickly. And because the mechanics are so simple, you can start to introduce those underlying principles, which are really the important part of the movement, because they're not having to worry where are their feet, where are their hands. Once they get into doing pushing chi, you can really start to introduce those underlying principles. So let's talk about some of those right now. If you think about teaching someone to do pushing chi, they will often step out a little narrow. Very few people will actually step out into a tandem stance like this, but they will often come into a very narrow stance. And you can teach them about having a channel and being rooted and grounded, being stable, because this is not as stable as this. You can talk about being rooted and grounded in lowering your center of gravity just a bit. Even people with bad knees, often this simple movement is easier for them to kind of sink into the movement, feel the ground, letting them understand what being rooted and grounded is all about. On even another level of rooted and grounded, it's easy to understand pushing an opponent away. This is one that they can really visualize, that martial arts application of pushing someone away. You can start to talk about columns, because a common mistake with pushing chi is to follow hands like this, right? And you talk about keeping your shoulders in harmony with your hips and moving from the Don Tien. This really important principle, moving from the Don Tien, is where pushing chi really has a lot of magic. Think about moving from here. When people can connect with their Don Tien, 2 inches in from the belly button, 2 inches down, all of a sudden they start to understand that it's a small movement and that this is becoming the powerhouse. It's very easy to help them understand that they're not to be pushing from their hands. This is a very uncomfortable, not relaxing movement, right? If you do this. Whereas when you talk about moving from the Don Tien, it becomes very relaxing. And the hands just kind of float. That helps people understand, yes, now I understand Tai Chi is very relaxing. It's easy to teach the breathing with pushing chi as well. Because they're not moving, because it's just a very simple mechanical move, you can talk about breathing in, coming towards your body, breathing out as you push away, breathing in and breathing out. And not only can you talk about just that mechanics of in and out, but then you can start to go a little deeper with breathing, about matching your inhalation with your exhalation, slowing that breathing down, slowing the motion down. People can really connect with that idea of slowing down with this very simple pushing chi. And most people understand too, when you tell them, think about why you're breathing in, coming towards your body, breathing out as you push away. If you use the simple idea of pushing open a door, You don't breathe in when you're trying to push something. You breathe out. And that makes sense to people. If you're going to try to push an opponent away, you're going to breathe out as you put your energy into them. So with that simple movement, you can also look at different movements in the form. There's a principle that you might not think of with pushing chi, and that's the idea of rotation. But it's not rotation like wave hands like clouds. It's much more subtle, and it keys in again on that Don Tien. Where is your Don Tien over your base of support? And in pushing chi, it's a very subtle movement. But there's a way to teach that, and I'm actually going to turn towards the mirror now. If you bring your left foot out, bring your weight back to the right and hold the ball to the right. Then part the wild horse's mane. Come back to the right and part the wild horse's mane. Notice I'm not stepping with that part the wild horse's mane. But as I come back with hold the ball, my Don Tien is over this base of support on the right side. As I execute the movement using my rotation, now my Don Tien comes over the base of support on the left. And just coming forward and back, nice and slowly, doing the part the wild horse's mane. If you think about it, really what you're doing is you're doing pushing chi. Your hands obviously are doing something different, but it's very subtle. When you come back with pushing chi, there's a little bit of rotation, and when you come forward, it's coming forward over that front leg. Now, I don't want you to push chi like this. We're not swimming. It's a subtle movement. But when you start to really understand moving from the Don Tien, it's an important part of that movement. You can combine chi walking with pushing chi. When we chi walk, rocking forward, rocking back, opening up just a little bit, bringing that weight onto that left, stepping forward with the right. This is just your simple chi walking. But if you add a pushing chi or 2 or 3, you can start to feel, I want to rotate a little bit, rotate out, and then I'm going to rotate this direction as I'm doing my pushing chi. Pushing chi and chi walking is a very calming warm-up. It's something that helps people get into that meditative thought process. Thought process is not the right key there, but getting into really being in the moment, because they can't just let their mind go and go, I'm chi walking, and here we go. You have to actually think about, where is my weight? Am I moving from my Don Tien? Can I bring my weight onto this leg now and step forward and do pushing chi again? Can I add the breathing to it? All of a sudden now you're layering on a lot of the underlying principles, and that helps you be in the moment, because you have to be thinking about what you're doing, which helps that meditative effect, which in turn helps your body relax. Brush knee is another one of the movements that you can combine with pushing chi. Again, I'm going to turn to the mirror here. If you're holding the ball to the right, step out left and brush knee. then pull back and come into pushing chi. Just bring that weight back to the right, step out left, brush knee, pushing chi. Stay on this one side, brush knee, pushing chi. One more, brush knee, and pushing chi. Now think about, as you're doing those movements together, those two simple movements, what is brush knee? It's really pushing chi. It's the same movement, having to keep your shoulders above your hips, moving from the Don Tien, not pushing forward from the hands. You've already taught them that with pushing chi. Think about how you can apply pushing chi to the movement brush knee. Because as you step out and do brush knee, really, it's just the placement of your hands that's different. So it's a great way to practice moving from the Don Tien, even to practice breathing, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, and breathing out. Helping people do those two movements, connecting them, will improve both of those movements. Like I said, moving from the Don Tien, keeping your columns intact, thinking about the breathing, adding that idea of rotation. Another one of the movements that you might not think can be improved with pushing chi is kick, smash, and box the ears. So let's think about kicks now. What we talked about last week. Let yourself be rooted and grounded and yet suspended from the crown of your head. Think about this long column all the way down through your left side of your body. Your right side is empty, but you're going to move that right leg up from the Don Tien and kick. Then stepping to the right. Now think about that column. You're not stable from the ankle. You're not stable from anywhere except right here through the Don Tien. This is where your stability comes from. Lift and kick. Now combine a kick with pushing chi. Bringing the weight back. Bring your weight over to the right now. Lift, kick, pushing chi. Bring your weight over to the left. Lift, kick, pushing chi. Now, when you do combine kicks and pushing chi, very few people are going to kick and push chi. Very few people are going to take a big step and try to push like this. But what happens when you teach kick, smash, and box the ears is people are very tempted to take a big step and box the ears, breaking their columns. They're not understanding they're substantial and insubstantial. They're not moving from the Don Tien. If you think about kick, smash, and box the ears, you're really doing kick, smash, and pushing chi. If you do kick, smash, lowering your center of gravity, you can do pushing chi. It's the same thing as box the ears. It's a great way to get people to understand lowering that center of gravity, not trying to reach out too far with their step, and understanding that when they box the ears, just like with pushing chi, They're moving from the Don Tien. They're keeping their columns intact. This movement should look very much like pushing Qi. It's just a simple difference in where your hands are. So the magic of pushing Qi, what a simple little movement. It's part of the ward off sequence. And when I teach ward off, I will often let people know this is a series of movements that are connected, but you already know hold the ball, and you already know pushing Qi. The movement starts with hold the ball and it ends with pushing Qi. So you just need to do a little bit of in between, and it actually relaxes people. But think about what ward off does for us. Taking a nice deep breath in, we can talk about the breathing. We can talk about the stances, moving from the Don Tien, using our rotation, keeping our columns intact, keeping those shoulders above the hips, being rooted and grounded as we come into this pushing Qi movement. All of those principles can be combined with that ward off. Taking a nice deep breath in, rotating, letting the Don Tien lead. Grasp the bird's tail, keep your columns intact. Rotate, feel that substantial and insubstantial change. Rotate and press, pushing Qi. And that's really what we want to accomplish with our Tai Chi in our own practice, in what we're teaching students, is we want them to focus on the underlying principles. It's not about pushing Qi or ward off or kick, smash, and box the ears. Yes, those are important vehicles, but they are vehicles to understand the underlying principles, because those principles are what give us the benefits of better balance, of being able to lower our stress and anxiety, and actually to help our brains, because when we're applying those underlying principles, we're doing a dual task, a physical task and a cognitive task. So that's really where the rubber meets the road with Tai Chi.